Gill, state of corruption. Now, I've been in Washington this many months with a plan, and I will discuss this plan. But I'm doing it in sections. This section's going to be the IRS. You see this evidence, volumes of evidence, from drug cartels to the corruption in the FBI, the Attorney General's office, of each of our states, how they launder the drug money. I am breaking it down, and all this evidence has been delivered. Delivered to Attorney General Barr, to the Judicial Senate Committee, Senator Lindsey Graham, Senator Cruz, several congressmen such as Senator Jordan. Each and every entity of investigation has this evidence. The Department of Justice, Organized Crime Division, the NSA. Would you believe that each and every single one of these entities or individuals knew exactly who I was? That's right, that's how big this is. You understand what went on with the president was the deep state. I gave you the deep state. I told you there's an organization of corruption within each of our states that have graduated to the federal government, that is protected by the FBI. What have we found out but this not being the truth? It was the FBI that was covering up for the deep state that tried to get Trump impeached through the Russian investigation. And it's the same Senator Jeanne Shaheen. You're going to see that she's questioning FBI agents saying, is it spying? Of course it was spying. You're going to hear Comey saying, and Brennan saying, oh, there was a dossier. No, I didn't give it to Mueller. Brennan did. No, Brennan goes, Mueller did. You understand these people are scrambling, and everything was based on the evidence that I've given you. But I will go over this plan as a whole. But let's light a single fuse, because there's doorways into this corruption. And they know the doorways too, which is why they've been blocking them. For instance, let's go after the IRS. You're going to see that the evidence that I delivered it to the taxpayer advocate in charge, Nina Olson. I have the receipt. She received this criminal evidence. She's seen the settlement offer that the IRS offered me $50 million. She sees Team Powell of the IRS. She heard the tapes of Tom Morley from Titka covering up for these individuals for years. This evidence is indisputable. This evidence is with the FBI, the Attorney General's office. Again, indisputable. So Nina Olson has it. She has an obligation to the people of this country to investigate. Okay? Commissioner Riddick, who was appointed by the President Trump, he has this evidence. The Department of the Treasury, the head, Eric Thorson, you have this evidence, and I have your signatures. Okay? So let's take this one piece. Let's go through this evidence. Okay? All we need is that fuse. Now, it was delivered to, and you'll see, delivered to U.S. Attorney Lullen and the special agent in charge of the FBI. You have it. So you're going to have to be asked the question, why didn't you act on it? Not only would have given you the deep state, and as high as the senator with Jeanne Shaheen and Maggie Hassan, but you know it would uncover this deep state. You know that it would give us the largest drug cartel in this country, ran by Dick Aganos, who's in the billions, who's been protected by Shaheen for over 30 years. You have that because Shaheen was part of this extortion with the IRS. All right? So let's take a look. I'm going to have you hear a phone call. that I make to the Taxpayer Advocate Department every single day. You're also going to see transmittals. I'm going to post them. From faxes. They've given us 2 fax numbers. I fax 3 times a day to each number every day. You'll see the telephone calls recorded. So there's no question. Certified mail that they're receiving. So again, they know exactly who I am, and I filed a report with them. Okay? They say they're going to give me a call within 24 hours. And this phone call is important. Well, you're going to find out that no one ever calls. They know exactly who I am and what I'm trying to do. And this is a fuse to get them all.
You have reached the Washington, D.C. Local Taxpayer Advocate's Office. Your call is very important to us. Please allow at least 24 hours for someone to contact you back. Please leave your name, telephone number, case phone number, and a brief message, and someone will return your call as soon as possible. Our hours of operations are 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., Monday to Friday. Our fax numbers are 855-810-2125 and 202-803-9081. Thank you for your call. Record your message at the tone.
Good.
When you are finished,
Yes, hi. This is Mike Gill. I'm glad this phone call is important to you because it's important to me. Now, I've been making this phone call every day. 2 times and 3 times every day. And I also noticed that you've left a fax number. Well, you know something? I fax you every single day on both numbers. I also mail you, and you sign for receipts saying you got my information. Now you have my tax ID number of mortgage specialist, and you have my Social Security number, Mike Gill. You have the evidence and information as I've given it to Commissioner Riddick, and I've given it to the head of the Taxpayer Advocate, Nina Olson, and the head of the Treasury Department, Thurston, saying that I have been extorted. And they've offered me $50 million in a settlement, including the IRS. Now, can you tell me if you're supposed to call me in 24 hours that you have not returned one of these phone calls, one of these fax, answered any of these letters? Could you explain to me? Because you have the information. You are absolutely certain that this is extortion and I'm being silenced, and Senator Jeanne Shaheen is behind this. Now again, I asked you, and I ask you for the people across this country who seek justice, and for all those people who are being extorted by the IRS. Thank you. Okay? So let's go through some of the evidence. I want you to take a look at the settlement offer. Now you're going to see this settlement offer on several different videos to follow. This is going to be just one in a series of multiple doors. But you're going to see that the IRS asked for their release. Tim Powell, the head of the IRS department in Portland, Maine. Now why would they want a release if they weren't criminally extorting me? Even today. Now think about this. Now who has the power to be able to manipulate the IRS in that kind of extortion? How about Senator Jeanne Shaheen? I'm going to show you multiple articles. She's been cited several times for targeting her enemies. Just like they used the IRS to extort. Just used the FBI to cover up, which is why the FBI was partners with her in trying to get the president impeached, and which is why she's so scared that it's coming forwards and she's going to be exposed. Okay? So now I'm going to play you a recording, a couple recordings of Tom Morley. He was the Titka agent. Titka is the criminal division of the IRS. It's what they use to investigate criminality within the IRS. It's like internal affairs for the police department, except for they're supposed to work. This one works the same way. It doesn't. What it did was it was covered up the corruption. And not just for that entity, but for years. You'll notice the date on the phone calls from 2013, 2013, 2014. I worked with Tom Morley and a woman named McDowell, who were both from Titka. Now, you'll also hear in one of the calls that he mentions Attorney Pike. I'm going to show you a snippet of Attorney Pike in a deposition. He was my tax attorney. Do you believe he lost all his memory of talking to the Department of Revenue? Because if the IRS piece is a fraud, and it has been for 8 years, so is the Department of Revenue, who just auctioned off my home to the head of the drug cartel. You see, they all need their releases. The head of the drug cartel, they know it's true. They know this is a way in, which is why they all need the appearance of innocence. Okay? So now you're going to hear Pike, that Tom Morley goes, Pike called me. You're going to hear Pike lose his memory about talking to anyone. The criminal division of the IRS, no memory. The Department of Revenue, no memory. In fact, the son of a bitch went and applied for a job thereafter because that's what he was promised. So you are working on tax issues for myself and the company. So when I hired you as a tax attorney, it makes sense, doesn't it? That you came on as a tax attorney, seeing you're doing tax attorney work?
Yes, it would make sense that a tax attorney would do tax work.
Okay. That you did. Not that you did. But you have no recollection with the DRA.
I don't recall specifically what was discussed.
Are you saying that you only had one conversation with the DRA?
I'm saying I don't recall how many conversations I had.
So you might have had many. So you might have had many.
I may have.
Okay, so you could have had one or many. And in many, you still can't remember one conversation.
I can't remember specifically one conversation, no.
How about you? Okay, but that's evidence and a history of who Morley was and that he was being investigating this tax issue.
Good afternoon, Mr. Gill. My name's Tom Morley. I'm a special agent with the Treasury Investigator General. We spoke a month or so ago. Give me a call back at your convenience, 617-593-8875. Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Gill. Tom Morley with the Treasury Department, 617-593-8875. Again, Agent Morley, M-O-R-L-E-Y, 617-593-8875. Please give me a call at your convenience. Thank you. Good afternoon, sir. Tom Morley from Titka calling. Just looking to confirm that we still have our meeting set for Thursday the 19th at 10 a.m. at your office in Plastow. I just got a call from a woman in Taxpayer Services saying that your attorney, Pike, contacted her today to schedule a meeting with us and just wanted to make sure we were still on for Thursday. Give me a call, 617-593-8875. Thank you.
Hi, Mike. This is Kim McDowell with the Treasury Inspector General. I'm just returning your phone call. I can be reached at 978-684-9076. Thank you.
Now, then I want you to see, you're going to see mailings. You're going to see communications, over 20 sealed envelopes that went to an accountant called Curtis Morley. Listen, I didn't tell you they were smart. I told you they were corrupt. Right. Tom Morley, Curtis Morley. You don't think they could be connected because I didn't hire that son of a bitch. Well, guess what? In those envelopes, that were followed by a phone call from Patrick Dillon. In 8 years, I haven't heard from the IRS. He turned around and told me to take the deal. They gave me that envelope that very day. Now you're going to see a picture of that envelope. It is again now with the U.S. Attorney Lullen, the same U.S. Attorney that's prosecuting the people involved in the admission scam. Wait a minute, you're going to put these people away, but you're going to leave and protect a deep state, organized crime, and the largest drug cartel in this country. Am I the only one that sees a problem with this? Lullen has this information that I'm giving you. And so now does the Attorney General Barr, and so does the IRS. There's no disputing it. That's what I've been doing these many months. Okay? So you're going to hear me call Tom Morley. I go, Tom, you won't believe this, but an accountant that I have never met, didn't communicate with, didn't work for me, has been taking my mail from the IRS. In fact, I called the IRS, and you know what? They changed my company's address. What? Yeah. They're intercepting all my mail and communications. The IRS built it that way. Okay? So Curtis Morley, I make a phone call to Tom only to find out when I said, Tom, you won't believe this, but you're not related to a Curtis Morley. I can never talk to you again. What? All these years, 4 years, you're telling me not to pay the taxes, although they owe me tens of millions because we're investigating this criminality. This is going to be the biggest breakthrough in the history of this country to show this kind of corruption that exists in the IRS and the extortion level that goes as high as the United States Senate, protected by the FBI. Yeah. No. Well, you know what he did? He thinks he hung up the phone. Instead, he calls the head of the criminal division of the IRS, Titka, Tim Campus, and you hear that phone call. Right, I'm going to play it for you. So you know what they're protecting, and they've been protecting since.
I don't care. My concerns about the wrong thing. They're the wrong thing so that's nothing I did not give them. In one capacity, told me about something like a memo email. Good times, Tim. This is gonna be your case. I'm gonna call him, Chris, and I'm gonna tell him like we have a plan. We have an undercover interview.
I need you to understand the importance of what this is. This is a single door into everything. You get the corruption within the FBI. You get organized crime. What these people do is they sell protection. Shaheen and her husband are the head of a deep state. And it is organized. And you get the drug cartel, the largest drug cartel. They're in hospitals, they're in treatment centers, they're the largest real estate holder in the state of New Hampshire. Their distribution goes across this country. The money is being laundered out of the banking department. And this method of operation is the exact method that works in your state. You understand? This is the door to that investigation. Ask yourself. They said they were going to investigate. They're going to call us back in 24 hours. And they don't call back. And they know exactly who I am. And they know this is a door from any one of you being persecuted by the IRS. This is your precedence. This is proof, without question, that they're guilty of extortion and their criminal enterprise. Why couldn't you use this as a precedent